amazing. Corona was the best thing that even could happen to e-commerce companies. I mean, the companies I work for, they saw increases of between 20 and 50% in sales. I think that there's a realization happening now when Corona is going away, that this kind of growth is not something that is God-given and will always continue, because a lot of them have been hit now, and now they need to be more efficient in order to maintain their margins, I think.
Coronavirus has been very good for e-commerce, let's face it. It has been enormous growth, also in sectors which were, talking about Germany at least, not really a focus in e-commerce, like food delivery. It just exploded in the last 2 years. And at the same time, you have a lot of small e-commerce that opened. So, which I think now you will see the consequences that are a little too much, and the ones that are not super professional or that do not have a lot of investment on the e-commerce will tend to close. And at the same time, one of the biggest impact is the importance of omni-channeling. And I think this is also a trend that will be kept, because some of the habits that the consumer have had during the Corona will stay, some will change, but not omni-channeling. So I will still want to go, probably have a walk in the city and try on a cloth, and then a piece of clothing, and then maybe it's not the color that I want, but I want it delivered to my home tomorrow from the online shops. And this is what I await as a customer. And this is, I think, will stay with us after COVID.
The coronavirus kind of accelerated everything. So what would gonna happen in the 5 years or 6 years just happened in 1.5 years or 2 years? Maybe what was gonna happen in 10 years just happened in the last 2 years. So we can see this acceleration, but also it brought some challenges, because when everything happens too fast, then it means you're not going to be ready for it. So that's why we are feeling lots of logistics issues and also some other problems with that. So I mean, of course, pandemic really increased the e-commerce business, and I think it will slow down a bit, but there are still lots of potential at the e-commerce. And I think it's gonna still grow at 2-digit numbers every single year in Europe, especially. For the rest of the world, it's gonna even grow faster, especially the Asian part of the world. Yeah, that's how I see it.
It was a quite positive effect, because then all the retailers really were forced to step foot into the e-com business, and also existing online shops, I think, heavily invest in that business. So this also means more competition for sure, but I think the positive effect is that there's a lot of investment and development going on in that business, and new trends coming up. So for the e-com business, it was a really positive effect. And also for the brick and mortar stores, or for the omni-channel retailers, because stores and online shop get more and more connected during the pandemic. So there were things like ship from store or same-day delivery out of the stores, where retailers and brick and mortars use their stores as warehouses to ship for the online orders.
We saw a constant rise. People couldn't leave, shops were closed, etc. Brick and mortar stores were closed, and people still needed goods, so they were bought online, and we had massive growth rates in the online market and for online marketplaces and individual online shops. But now, with us, I guess, still being in the pandemic these days, we also see that even the biggest competitors or the biggest market players, such as Amazon, their growth rate not as steep anymore as it used to be. I think that applies to the entire industry. It has risen in the very beginning because people didn't know what would be happening, but now people, I mean, we have things in Eastern Europe going on, and people are keeping their money together these days. I hope that changes very soon.
Depending on the verticals, I mean, we were definitely one of the winners with home and living and furniture, just because competitors like IKEA needed to close their stores in Germany. So people that wanted to furnish their home and started doing more and more home office couldn't go into stores to buy their furniture, but needed to go online. So it was quite a big boost for an undigitalized industry like home and living, which is not as digitalized like fashion or electronics. But the total industry got a boost forward just because people tended to focus more on their home, to focus more on cocooning effects, and weren't really able in that time to purchase offline, so they went online.
Before the coronavirus, e-commerce wasn't popular at all in lots of countries globally, and thanks to pandemic, people discovered that shopping online can be very convenient to them, and it's actually quite safe and easy to do. So I would say, thanks to pandemic, we can grow even more and continuously develop our services because the expectation of the customers are growing as well.
All the mid-sized companies start investing into e-commerce, all the big e-commerce players start scaling even faster, so huge demand from the consumers for digital marketing, partly because they did not have the opportunity to go into offline stores, but partly also because they see it's comfortable and it's nice, it's easy, it's yeah. And they are adapting it, and many more people are adapting to it. And so, yeah, from a commerce perspective, the last 2 years have been great fun, yeah, indeed. And having a digital marketing agency, yeah, my team had too much work, and but we had a great time.
Coronavirus caught an awful lot of, on the business side, the world's businesses flat-footed. If you were already fully enabled with e-commerce, meaning all your brands, all your geographies, all your customer segments, you were fine. And if anything, you were benefited by the coronavirus because you were prepared to sell when physical business shut down. But if you weren't enabled in all of your brands, all of your geographies, and all of your customer segments, you panicked, and then you had to rush online. And it was really fun for us because it was a flood unlike anything we've ever seen of new companies coming in and creating stores. That has now subsided, but overall, I would say business adoption of e-commerce was accelerated by 1.5 to 2 years. Consumer adoption was radically enhanced too, because consumers, for the most part, had already shopped online, but maybe they were doing most of it at Amazon or a couple of simple sites. And they ended up realizing, I can't get any of the stuff in the local store or the local business I'm used to. And they started shopping in a lot of new places. They started realizing I can buy directly from a whole bunch of brands that they might have bought through stores before, and now they're going direct. And I think consumers, their sophistication, familiarity, diversity of places they shop has really been enhanced.
We showed that we are extremely flexible, that we could change our business very fast, that we were able to deliver, and because a lot of brick and mortar business are closed, and also travel were closed, and the people are in lockdown and something like that. But our business, the e-commerce business, was running, was going on and delivered, and that, in my point of view, was very important to understand. And so e-commerce is very important for our society, and the society shows that they like to use it. And on the other hand, I also discussed it with the retailer here at the exhibition today. It was a really tough time for the companies, for the people, for the families, because it was a lot of work to be stable, to be flexible at these times. Yes, they made money, of course, but at the end they also stayed alive with their business. So this was very important that in my point of view, it's very important to understand before this very tough times.